This is my true story. My family locked my room and left for vacation. They actually locked me in. Like a prisoner. Said I was too slow, too ugly, too embarrassing to bring along. So they shoved me in my bedroom and locked the door from outside. Left me there with barely any food, no phone, no way out. Went to Hawaii for 10 days, laughed and partied while I was trapped. But when they came back, everything changed. Police were waiting, handcuffs ready, and I already planned everything. But you won't believe what happened next. Before that, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. And please subscribe to this channel so that my stories can reach more people. I built a construction business from nothing. Started when I was 25 years old, just me and a used truck and some basic tools. Took any job I could get, small repairs, renovations, additions, worked 7 days a week, 16-hour days. My hands were always cut up, always bleeding. But slowly the business grew. I hired workers, got bigger contracts, built houses, built commercial buildings. 30 years of sweat and blood and sacrifice. By the time I was 55, the business was worth over $3 million. $3 million in assets, properties, equipment, contracts. I was successful. More successful than I ever imagined. And I did it all for my family. I have 2 children, a daughter and a son. I gave them everything. Paid for private schools. Paid for their colleges. My daughter wanted to study art. I didn't understand it, but I paid. $50,000 a year. My son studied business, also expensive. I paid every penny. Never asked them to work. Never asked them to contribute. Just wanted them to focus on education. Focus on their futures. I thought I was being a good father. Thought I was giving them opportunities. Setting them up for success. When my daughter got married, I paid for the wedding. $30,000. Big wedding. Fancy venue. Open bar. She wanted everything perfect. I gave it to her. Didn't complain about the cost. Just wanted her happy. After the wedding, I bought them a house. Down payment was $80,000. I paid it. They moved into a beautiful house in a nice neighborhood. House I bought. My son got married 2 years later. Same thing. I paid for his wedding. $25,000. Then bought him a house too. Down payment was $70,000. Different neighborhood, but just as nice. Both my children living in houses I bought. Driving cars I helped pay for. Living comfortable lives because of my money. I thought we were close. Thought they appreciated what I did. What I gave. They said thank you. Said they were grateful. But looking back, I see it was empty. They said what they needed to say to keep the money coming. To keep me giving. They didn't actually care. Didn't actually appreciate. They just expected it. Expected me to provide. Expected me to fund their lives. And I did. Like a fool. Like a bank account that never ran dry. I kept giving. Kept paying. Kept thinking this was what family did. This was how you showed love. When I turned 70, I started slowing down. My body was giving out. Decades of physical labor catching up to me. My back hurt constantly. My knees were shot. I couldn't work like I used to. So I retired. Sold the construction business. Made good money from the sale. Invested it. Had rental properties. Had savings. Had assets worth about $3 million total. I was set. Comfortable. Didn't need to work anymore. Thought I would spend my retirement with my family. With my children and grandchildren. Thought they would want me around. Want to spend time with me. I was wrong. My wife died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. I was devastated. Lost my partner. My best friend. The mother of my children. I needed family more than ever. Needed support. Needed love. But my children were too busy. Too busy with their own lives. Lives I funded. They visited sometimes. Holidays. Birthdays. Quick visits. Surface level. Then they were gone. Back to their lives. I asked if I could live with one of them. My daughter said no. Said they didn't have room. Liar. That house had 4 bedrooms. My son said no too. Said his wife wouldn't be comfortable. So I lived alone in my house. The house I bought 40 years ago. Alone with my memories, with my grief. With the realization that the family I built and funded didn't actually want me around unless I was writing checks. I still helped them, still gave money when they asked, and they asked often, needed help with mortgage, needed help with car payments, needed money for vacations, for furniture, for everything. I gave it, every time. Because they were my children, because that's what I thought fathers did, even when they treated me like an ATM, even when they only called when they needed something. I gave, and they took, and took, and took, until they decided I was too much trouble to keep around at all. 3 months ago, my daughter called, said the family was planning a vacation. Hawaii. 2 weeks. Everyone was going. Her husband, my son, his wife, the grandkids. Big family trip. She was excited. Talked about the resort, the beaches, the activities. I listened. Felt happy they were doing something together. Then I asked if I could come. The line went quiet. I said I could pay for myself, pay for my flight, my hotel, everything. I just wanted to be included, wanted to spend time with my family. She laughed. Actually laughed. Said, "Dad, you can't come." I asked why. She said, "You're too slow." Said, "You walk too slow. You take forever to do anything. You'll hold us back. We want to do activities, go hiking, go to the beach, do things. You can't keep up." I said, "I'll try. I'll do my best. I won't slow anyone down." She said, "It's not just that." Said, "You don't look good." I asked what that meant. She said, "You're old, Dad. You look old. You're hunched over. You shuffle when you walk. We're taking pictures, posting them online. We can't have you in the background looking like that. It'll ruin the photos, make us look bad." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own daughter, the girl I raised, the woman whose wedding I paid for, whose house I bought, was telling me I couldn't come on a family vacation because I looked bad, because I was old, because my existence would embarrass them. I said, "I'm your father." She said, "I know, and I love you. But this trip isn't for you. It's for us, for the younger generation. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway. You'd just be miserable. Better if you stay home." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. But I said, "Okay." Said I understood. I didn't understand. But what else could I say? I called my son, thought maybe he would be different. Maybe he would want me there. I told him what his sister said, asked if he agreed. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Yeah, Dad. I think she's right." Said you would slow us down. Said the trip is expensive and we want to enjoy it, want to relax. Having to worry about you would stress us out. I said I won't be any trouble. Said I'll take care of myself. He said it's not just that. Said, "Honestly, Dad, you're kind of embarrassing." Said his wife didn't want me there. Said she complained last Christmas about how I looked, about how I acted. Said I made weird noises, breathed heavy, moved too slow, made her uncomfortable. He said it's better if you just stay home. I hung up, sat in silence, processed what just happened. My children didn't want me on their vacation because I was old, because I looked bad, because I embarrassed them. The same children I sacrificed everything for. The same children I funded their entire lives. They were ashamed of me, ashamed of their father. I felt humiliated, felt worthless, felt like garbage. They were going on a family vacation, and I wasn't family anymore. I was just an embarrassment, something to hide, something to leave behind. A week before they left, my daughter called again. Said they were finalizing plans. Said they would be gone for 10 days. She asked if I would be okay alone. I said yes. What choice did I have? She said good. Then she said something strange. Said, "Make sure you stay home. Don't try to follow us. Don't show up at the airport. Don't ruin this for us." I said I won't. Said I'll stay home. She said good. "Because if you try to come, we'll call security. We'll have you removed. We're serious, Dad. This trip is for us, not you." I said I understand. She hung up. I should have known something was wrong, should have heard the threat in her voice, should have realized they weren't just excluding me. They were planning something worse. But I didn't see it. Didn't think my own children would go that far, would cross that line. I just accepted it. Accepted being left behind. Accepted being the embarrassing old father who ruins photos and slows people down. Accepted that I wasn't wanted. But I didn't know what was coming. Didn't know they had a plan. A plan to make sure I stayed home. A plan that would destroy any illusion I had left that they loved me. The morning they left was a Saturday, early morning. Their flight was at 9 a.m. I woke up around 6, made coffee, sat in the kitchen. I wasn't going with them, but I wanted to say goodbye, wanted to wish them a good trip. They came downstairs around 7, my daughter, her husband, my son, his wife, the grandkids, everyone, suitcases everywhere, excitement in the air. They were laughing, talking about the trip, about the resort, about Hawaii. I said good morning. They barely acknowledged me, just kept talking to each other. I said have a safe flight. My daughter said thanks, didn't look at me, just kept checking her bags. My son walked over, said, "Dad, we need you to go to your room." I asked why. He said because we're leaving and we don't want any problems. I said what problems? I'm just sitting here. He said we don't trust you. Said we think you might try to follow us, might try to show up at the airport, might ruin our trip. I said I won't. I promised I would stay home. He said we need to make sure. I asked what that meant. He said, "Go to your room. Now." His voice was firm, almost angry. I stood up, walked to my bedroom, confused, scared, not understanding what was happening. I got to my room, turned around. My son was behind me. My daughter too. They walked me inside. I said, "What's going on?" My daughter said, "We're leaving now. Said we'll be back in 10 days. I said, "Okay. Have a good trip." She said, "We left some food for you." Pointed to a small bag on my dresser. I looked. 3 sandwiches, some granola bars, 2 bottles of water. I said, "This isn't enough food for 10 days. She said, "It's all you need." Said, "You eat too much anyway. You could stand to lose weight." My son laughed. I said, "I need more food than this." Said, "I need to go to the store." My son said, "No, you're staying here." Then they walked out. I started to follow. My son turned around, pushed me back, said, "Stay in your room. Don't come out." I said, "What?" He said, "We're locking you in." I said, "You can't do that." He said, "We can. We own this house now. You signed it over to us last year. Remember?" I did remember. They convinced me to put the house in their names, said it was for estate planning, said it would make things easier when I died. I trusted them, signed the papers, thought it was smart, but now they were using it against me, using it to control me, to trap me. My daughter said, "It's for your own good, Dad." Said, "This way you can't follow us, can't embarrass us, can't ruin our vacation. You'll stay here, stay safe, stay out of trouble. When we get back, we'll let you out." I said, "This is insane. You can't lock me in my room. I'm your father." My son said, "Exactly. You're our father, and we're taking care of you, making sure you don't do anything stupid. Now stay here, be quiet. We'll be back in 10 days. I tried to push past him. He shoved me back hard. I almost fell. He said, "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." They walked out. I heard the door close, heard a key turn in the lock, heard it lock from the outside. I grabbed the handle, turned it. It wouldn't open, locked. I was locked in. I banged on the door, yelled for them, said, "Let me out. This isn't right." I heard footsteps walking away, heard voices, heard laughter, heard the front door open and close, heard car doors, heard engines start, heard them drive away. Then silence, complete silence. I was alone, locked in my bedroom, in my own house, by my own children. I tried the door again. Still locked. I looked around. The window. I went to it. Tried to open it. Locked. They locked the window too. Planned this. Made sure I couldn't escape. Made sure I was trapped. I looked at the food. 3 sandwiches, some bars, 2 bottles of water, for 10 days. They left me to starve, left me locked up like a prisoner, like I was nothing, like I was garbage they needed to contain. My own children, the people I raised, the people I gave everything to, did this to me, and then left for Hawaii, left me here to suffer while they enjoyed paradise. The first day I kept trying the door, kept trying the window, kept looking for a way out. Nothing worked. I was trapped. Really trapped. I sat on my bed trying to process what happened, trying to understand how my children could do this, how they could lock me up like an animal, like I was dangerous, like I deserved this. I wasn't hungry yet, too shocked to eat, too angry. I just sat there staring at the walls, at the locked door, at the window I couldn't open. This was my room, my house, but now it was my prison, and my children were my jailers. Night came. The room got dark. I didn't have my phone. They took it before they left, said I didn't need it, said I might call someone, might get help, might ruin their plan. So they took it. Left me with nothing. No way to contact anyone, no way to call for help. Just me alone in a dark room. I tried to sleep. Couldn't. Too uncomfortable. Too angry. Too scared. I laid there thinking about my life, about all the years I worked, all the money I gave them, all the sacrifices. And this was how they repaid me. This was what I got for being a good father, for giving them everything, a locked room and starvation. Second day I woke up hungry, really hungry. I looked at the food. 3 sandwiches. I ate one, tried to make it last, took small bites, drank a little water, had to ration it, had to make it last 10 days somehow. The math didn't work. 3 sandwiches wasn't enough. The granola bars wouldn't be enough. 2 bottles of water definitely wasn't enough. I would run out, would starve, would die of thirst maybe. Did they know that? Did they care? Or did they actually want me to die? Want me gone? Out of their lives permanently? The thought made me sick. I had to use the bathroom. There was a bathroom attached to my bedroom. Thank God. I could use the toilet, could get water from the sink. That saved me. If I didn't have that bathroom, I would have been worse off. Would have been sitting in my own waste. But I had water, could drink from the tap, could fill up my bottles. That helped. That kept me alive. But I was still hungry, still trapped, still alone. I banged on the walls, yelled for help. Nobody heard. The house was isolated. No close neighbors. Nobody to hear me scream. So I stopped, saved my energy, sat in silence. Third day was the worst. The hunger was constant. My stomach cramping. I ate another sandwich, drank more water, tried to stay calm, tried not to panic. But I was panicking. Was I going to die here? Was this it? Was this how my life ended? Locked in a room by my own children? Starving to death while they drank cocktails in Hawaii? Posted photos on social media? Smiled and laughed and enjoyed life? While I suffered? While I died? The cruelty of it was overwhelming. I cried. Actually cried. Sitting on my bed. 70 years old. Crying like a child. Because I was helpless, powerless, abandoned. Fourth day I tried the window again, banged on it, tried to break it. Couldn't. Too weak, too tired. I gave up, just sat there, staring at nothing. My mind was foggy, from hunger, from dehydration, from stress. I wasn't thinking clearly, just existing, just surviving minute by minute. I ate the last sandwich, drank more sink water, 1 granola bar left, that's all. After that, nothing. Just water. Just waiting. Waiting to die, or waiting to be found. Didn't know which would come first. 5th day I heard something. A voice outside. Faint. I crawled to the window, looked out, saw my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. She was in her yard. I banged on the window, yelled. She didn't hear. Kept walking. I banged harder, screamed. She stopped, looked around. I banged again. She looked up, saw me. Her face changed, looked confused. I mouthed, "Help me." She walked closer. I banged again, pointed at the lock. She understood, pulled out her phone. I saw her talking, calling someone. I hoped, prayed. This was my chance, my only chance. If she didn't help, I was dead. I collapsed on the floor, exhausted, but hopeful. Someone saw me. Someone knew. Maybe I would survive this after all. Mrs. Patterson called the police. I found out later she told them something was wrong. Said her neighbor was locked in his room, banging on the window, looking sick, looking scared. The dispatcher took it seriously, sent officers immediately. I didn't know any of this yet. I just laid on the floor, weak, dehydrated, hungry, hoping someone would come, hoping this wasn't a dream, hoping I would get out before it was too late. 20 minutes passed, felt like hours. Then I heard sirens, faint at first, then louder, getting closer. I dragged myself to the window, looked out, saw police cars pulling up, 2 of them, officers getting out. Mrs. Patterson pointing at my window, pointing at the house. They were here. They were really here. I heard knocking. Loud knocking on the front door. Officers yelling, "Police." Open the door. Nobody answered. Nobody was home. Just me. Locked inside. I heard them talking. Heard footsteps around the house. Heard them trying windows, trying doors. Everything was locked. My children made sure of that. Made sure nobody could get in. Made sure I couldn't get out. Then I heard a loud bang. They were breaking down the door. The front door. I heard wood splintering. Heard it crash open. Heard footsteps inside the house. Heavy boots on the floor. Getting closer. Coming toward my room. Someone tried my bedroom door. Found it locked. Asked if anyone was inside. I yelled. Said, "I'm here. I'm locked in. Help me." The officer said, "Stand back from the door." I crawled away. Got behind the bed. Heard a crash. They kicked the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. The door frame splintered. The door flew open. 2 officers rushed in. Guns drawn. Then they saw me. An old man on the floor. Weak. Dirty. Scared. They lowered their guns. One of them rushed over. Asked if I was okay. I said no. Said I've been locked in here for 5 days. No food. No way out. He called for paramedics. Said we need medical here now. The other officer looked around. Saw the locked window. Saw the small bag of food, almost empty. Saw the water bottles. Saw the conditions. He started taking photos, documenting everything. Asked who did this. I said my children, my son and daughter. They locked me in before they left for vacation. Said they didn't want me following them. The officer looked shocked. Said, "Your children did this?" I nodded. He said, "How long have they been gone?" I said 5 days. "They'll be back in 5 more days." He wrote everything down. Said, "This is elder abuse. This is false imprisonment. This is a crime." Paramedics arrived, checked my vitals. My blood pressure was dangerously low. I was severely dehydrated, malnourished. They wanted to take me to the hospital. I said no. Said I just need water, need food, need to rest. They insisted. Said I needed IV fluids, needed medical attention. I was too weak to argue. They put me on a stretcher, carried me out. Mrs. Patterson was outside, crying. She came over, said, "I'm so sorry." Said she saw me at the window days ago but thought I was just waving. Didn't realize I was trapped. I said it's okay. Said thank you for calling. Said you saved my life. She squeezed my hand. Said, "What kind of children do this?" At the hospital they gave me fluids, gave me food, ran tests. I was there for 2 days, recovering, getting my strength back. The police came, took my statement, asked detailed questions. What happened? Who did it? Why? How long? I told them everything. Told them about the vacation, about being locked in, about the food, about everything. They took notes, took photos of my condition, said they were opening a criminal investigation, said my children would be charged when they returned. I asked what charges. They said elder abuse, false imprisonment, criminal neglect, maybe more. Depended on the evidence. I said good. Said charge them with everything. Said they deserve it. The police asked if I had somewhere safe to stay. Said I couldn't go back to that house. Not yet. Not until they secured it. Collected evidence. I said I don't know. Don't have anywhere, Mrs. Patterson offered. Said I could stay with her. The police said that works. They released me from the hospital. Mrs. Patterson took me to her house, set me up in her guest room, brought me food, brought me water, treated me with kindness, with dignity. More kindness than my own children ever showed. I stayed there, rested, recovered, and planned. Planned what I would do when my children came home. When they walked back into their house thinking everything was fine. They had no idea what was waiting for them. While my children were in Hawaii posting photos on social media, I was meeting with lawyers and police. The police told me the evidence was overwhelming. The locked room, the lack of food, my medical records showing dehydration and malnutrition, Mrs. Patterson's testimony, the photos. Everything pointed to intentional abuse, intentional neglect. They said when my children returned, they would be arrested, charged, prosecuted. I said good. Said I want them charged with everything possible. Want them to face consequences. Want them to pay for what they did. The detective said we'll make sure of it. I hired a lawyer. Criminal lawyer first. To make sure the case against my children was strong. To make sure they couldn't wiggle out of it. Couldn't claim it was a misunderstanding. The lawyer reviewed everything. Said the case was solid. Said my children were looking at serious charges. Possible jail time. He said elder abuse was taken very seriously. Especially cases this extreme. Locking someone in a room. Depriving them of food. Leaving them for days. That wasn't just neglect. That was criminal. That was intentional harm. He said he would work with the prosecutor. Make sure they threw the book at them. Then I hired another lawyer, estate lawyer, to handle my will, my assets, my money. I had been thinking about it. Thinking about what my children did. How they treated me. They locked me up, starved me, left me to die. And they did it for what? So they could enjoy a vacation without me. So they wouldn't be embarrassed. So they wouldn't have to deal with their old father. That told me everything I needed to know. They didn't love me, didn't care about me, only cared about themselves, about my money, about what they would inherit when I died. Well, I wasn't going to let that happen. I told my estate lawyer everything. Told him I wanted to change my will, wanted to remove my children completely, every asset, every property, every dollar. I wanted them to get nothing. He asked if I was sure. Said this was a big decision. Said maybe I should think about it. Wait until I calmed down. I said I am calm. Said I've never been more sure of anything. My children tried to kill me. Maybe not directly. But they left me in conditions that could have killed me. Would have killed me if Mrs. Patterson hadn't seen me. They don't deserve my money. Don't deserve anything from me. The lawyer drafted a new will. Removed my daughter completely. Removed my son completely. Removed their spouses. Removed everyone. I left small amounts to my grandchildren. Money in trusts they would get when they turned 25. They were innocent in this. Didn't do anything wrong. But their parents, my children, they got nothing. $0, 0 property, 0 assets. Everything else went to charity. Organizations that help elderly people, that fight elder abuse, that provide services for seniors. My $3 million estate split between 5 different charities, and my children erased completely. I signed the new will, had it witnessed, had it notarized, filed it properly, legal and binding. My children had no idea. They were still in Hawaii, still posting photos, still having fun, still thinking they would come home to their embarrassing old father locked in his room grateful to be let out. Still thinking they would inherit millions someday. But that was over. I made sure of it. Made sure they would never see a penny. Made sure my life's work would go to people who deserved it. Not to the monsters who locked me up. The police asked when my children were returning. I checked the tickets I found in the house. They were coming back in 3 days. Landing at 6 p.m. The police said perfect. Said they would be waiting. Said officers would be at the house when they arrived. Said they would arrest them immediately. I said I want to be there. Want to see their faces. The detective said, that's not a good idea. Might be too emotional. Might complicate things. I said I don't care. I need to see it. Need to see them realize what they did. What they lost. He said okay, but stay back. Let us handle it. I agreed. 3 more days. 3 more days, and my children would get exactly what they deserved. The day they returned, I was ready. The police were ready. Everything was in place. Their flight landed at 6 p.m. It would take them about 45 minutes to get home from the airport. The police arrived at the house at 6:30. 4 officers, 2 detectives. They parked down the street. Waited. I was there too, sitting in Mrs. Patterson's car. Parked across the street. Far enough away. But close enough to see. Close enough to watch. The police told me to stay in the car. Said don't get involved, just watch. I said okay. I sat there, heart pounding, waiting. 6:45 their car pulled into the driveway. I saw it. Saw my son driving. Saw my daughter in the passenger seat. Saw their spouses in the back. The trunk was full. I could see suitcases, shopping bags, souvenirs from Hawaii. They looked happy, tanned, relaxed. They had no idea what was about to happen. No idea police were waiting. No idea their lives were about to fall apart. They got out of the car, stretched, laughed. My daughter said something. Everyone laughed. They looked like they had the best time, like they didn't have a care in the world, like they didn't leave their father locked in a room to die. My son opened the trunk, started pulling out bags, so many bags. They went shopping, spent money. My money probably. Money I gave them over the years. They were carrying bags toward the house, still laughing, still talking about the trip. Then the police moved. Officers stepped out from behind their cars, walked up the driveway. My children saw them, stopped. The smiles disappeared, confusion on their faces. My daughter asked, "Can we help you?" One officer said, "Are you the owners of this house?" My son said, "Yes." "What's this about?" The officer said, "We have a warrant for your arrest." Everything stopped. My children froze. My daughter said, "What?" Said, "This must be a mistake." The officer pulled out handcuffs, said, "Turn around, put your hands behind your back." My son said, "Wait." Said, "What's going on? What are the charges?" The officer said, "Elder abuse, false imprisonment, criminal neglect." My daughter's face went white. She said, "This is crazy." Said, "We didn't do anything." My son said, "Dad." He looked around, looking for me, didn't see me. Said, "Where's my dad? Is he okay?" The officer said, "He's fine. No thanks to you. Now turn around." My son tried to argue, tried to talk his way out. Said, "There's been a misunderstanding." Said, "They left me with food." Said, "I agreed to stay in my room." The officer said, "The evidence says otherwise." Said, "Victim testimony, medical records, witness statements, photos. Everything contradicts your story. Now you can cooperate or we can do this the hard way." My son looked at his wife. She was crying. My daughter started crying too. Said, "Please." Said, "They have kids." Said, "They can't go to jail." The officer said, "You should have thought about that before you locked your father in a room for a week." They handcuffed my daughter first. She was screaming now. Screaming that this wasn't fair, that I was lying, that I was vindictive, that I wanted revenge. The officer walked her to the police car, put her in the back. Then they handcuffed my son. He wasn't screaming, just looked defeated, looked broken. He said, "Dad, please." Said, "I know you're watching." Said, "Please stop this." Said, "We're sorry." The officer said, "Tell it to the judge." Walked him to another police car, put him in. Their spouses were standing there, shocked, didn't know what to do. Officers told them to leave, said this was a crime scene, said they needed to go. They grabbed a few bags, got in their car, drove away. I watched all of it, watched my children get arrested, watched them cry and beg, watched them get put in police cars, watched their perfect vacation ending turn into a nightmare. And I felt nothing, no sympathy, no regret, no guilt, just satisfaction, just justice. They tried to kill me, maybe not with their hands, but they locked me up, starved me, left me to die, and now they were paying. Now they were the ones trapped, the ones helpless, the ones scared, and it was their own fault, their own cruelty, their own evil, coming back to destroy them. The police cars drove away, sirens on, lights flashing, taking my children to jail, to be booked, fingerprinted, photographed, put in cells. I stayed in Mrs. Patterson's car, watching the street empty, watching the neighbors who came out to see what was happening. Everyone was talking, pointing, whispering. The whole neighborhood would know by tomorrow, would know my children were arrested, would know what they did. Their reputations destroyed, everything they cared about, their image, their status, their perfect family facade, gone, shattered. And they did it to themselves. Mrs. Patterson drove me back to her house. I went inside, sat down. She made me tea, asked if I was okay. I said yes. Said I felt good, felt relief. She said they deserved it, said what they did was unforgivable. I agreed. We sat in silence, drinking tea, processing everything. My phone rang, unknown number. I answered. It was my daughter, calling from jail. She was crying, screaming. Said, "Dad, how could you?" Said, "We're in jail." Said, "We need bail." Said, "You have to help us." I said, "No." She said, "What do you mean, no?" Said, "I'm your daughter." Said, "You can't leave us here." I said, "You left me locked in a room for 10 days. You can stay in jail for 10 days, see how you like it." She started screaming, calling me names. I hung up. My son called 10 minutes later. Different approach. Calm, apologetic. Said, "Dad, I'm so sorry." Said we made a terrible mistake. Said we never meant to hurt you. Said please help us. Please bail us out. We have kids, they need us. I said you should have thought about that before you locked me up. He said we panicked. Said we didn't want you following us. Said we made a bad decision. I said it wasn't a bad decision. It was a crime. You committed a crime. He said, "Please, Dad, I'm begging you." I said, "You want me to bail you out?" He said, "Yes, please." I said, "How much is bail?" He said, 50,000 each, 100,000 total. I said, "I'm not paying it." He said, "What?" I said, "You wanted to go to Hawaii without me. Now you can stay in jail without me." I hung up. They called 15 more times that night. I didn't answer. Let it ring. Let them panic. Let them sit in their cells wondering what would happen. Wondering if I would help. I wouldn't. They made their choice. They chose cruelty. They chose to abuse me. Now they could live with the consequences. Their spouses called too. Begging, crying, saying the kids needed their parents, saying they couldn't afford bail, saying I was the only one who could help. I said, "I'm not helping." Said, "Your husband, your wife, they locked me in a room, they starved me, they left me to die. And you knew, you were there, you saw it, you did nothing. So no, I'm not helping." They cursed at me, called me evil, called me heartless. I didn't care. Hung up. The news picked up the story, local news. Rich family arrested for elder abuse. Photos of my children, photos of the house, interviews with neighbors. Mrs. Patterson gave an interview, told them how she found me, how I was banging on the window, how weak I looked. The story spread. Social media, everyone talking about it, everyone condemning my children, calling them monsters, calling them evil. Their friends saw it, their co-workers, everyone they knew. The shame was overwhelming, their perfect image destroyed. Forever marked as the people who locked up their elderly father. I watched the news coverage, read the comments. People were furious, saying they hoped my children went to prison, saying they deserved to rot. I agreed. 3 days later, they had their bail hearing. The judge set bail at 75,000 each. Their spouses scrambled, tried to raise money, couldn't. They didn't have it. They called me again, begged again. I said no again. They stayed in jail. A week passed, 2 weeks. They were still there, still locked up, still trapped, just like they trapped me. And I felt no sympathy, no guilt, just justice. They wanted to lock me away. Now they were locked away, and I was free, finally free. 2 weeks after they were arrested, my lawyer called, said he had news. The criminal case was moving forward. Prosecutor was charging them with multiple felonies, elder abuse, false imprisonment, criminal neglect. Potential sentence was 3 to 5 years each if convicted. The evidence was overwhelming. Their lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal. Prosecutor said no, said this case was too serious, too public. They were making an example of my children, showing that elder abuse wouldn't be tolerated. My lawyer said the trial would be in 6 months. I said good. Said, let them sit in jail until then. Let them think about what they did. Then my estate lawyer called. Said the new will was filed. Said everything was in order. Said my children were completely removed. Said all assets would go to charity upon my death. He asked if I wanted to tell them. Wanted them to know. I said yes. Said I want them to know exactly what they lost. He said he could arrange that. Said he could visit them in jail, deliver the news officially. I said do it. He said he would go tomorrow, would bring copies of the will, would explain everything, would watch their faces when they realized they got nothing. My children called that night. Both of them, from jail. Using their one phone call. My daughter went first. Different tone now, desperate, broken. Said, Dad, please. Said we've been here 2 weeks. Said it's horrible. Said we need to get out. Said we need your help. I said you need money. She said yes. Bail money, lawyer money. We can't afford any of it. Our savings are gone. We need you. I said you need me now. Where was that when you locked me in a room? She started crying. Said she was sorry. Said she would do anything. I said it's too late. She said what do you mean? I said you'll find out tomorrow. Hung up. My son called next. Same desperation, same begging. Said, Dad, I'm losing everything. My job fired me. My wife is leaving me. My kids won't talk to me. I'm losing my house. I need help. I need money. Please. I said, you're losing everything. He said, yes. I said, good. Now you know how I felt. When you took everything from me. When you locked me away. When you tried to make me disappear. He said, I'm sorry. Said he made a mistake. I said it wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. You chose to hurt me. Now live with it. He said, what about the inheritance? Said, when you die, we'll get the money. We can rebuild. I laughed. Said, you're not getting anything. He said, what? I said, my lawyer is coming tomorrow. He'll explain. I hung up. The next day, my estate lawyer visited them in jail, separately, told each of them the news, told them the will was changed, told them they were removed, told them every asset, every property, every dollar was going to charity. $3 million. Gone. He said my daughter screamed, threw things, had to be restrained by guards, said she couldn't believe it, couldn't accept it, said it wasn't fair, said she was his daughter, said she deserved that money. My lawyer said you deserved a father who loved you, and you locked him in a room. You deserve nothing. My son took it differently. Quieter. Just sat there, staring. Then asked who was getting the money. My lawyer told him. Elder abuse prevention organizations, senior care charities, groups that help vulnerable elderly people. My son said that's cruel, said I'm punishing him. My lawyer said you punished yourself. You did this. You destroyed your own future. My son asked if there was any way to change it, any way to get back in the will. My lawyer said no, said the will is final, said even if I died tomorrow you get nothing. My son put his head in his hands, started crying. My lawyer called me after, said it was done, said they knew, said they were devastated, destroyed, said everything they counted on, everything they expected, was gone. I said good, said they took everything from me, now I'm taking everything from them. He said they might try to contest the will. I said let them try, said the will is solid, said they have no grounds, said they abused me, locked me up, tried to kill me, no judge will side with them. He agreed, said the will would stand, said my $3 million would go exactly where I wanted, and my children would get exactly what they deserved. Nothing. I left that town 3 months later. Couldn't stay there anymore. Too many memories, too much pain, too many people asking questions, asking about my children, about the trial, about everything. I needed to start over, needed peace. So I sold what I could, packed my things, and moved to Florida. Small beach town, warm weather, ocean view. Found a nice condo, 2 bedrooms, right on the beach. Used some of my savings, bought it outright. No mortgage, no debt. Just my place, my home, my fresh start. The condo complex was full of retirees, people my age, people who understood, people who had their own stories, their own pain. Nobody asked too many questions. Nobody judged. We just lived, had coffee together, played cards, went to the beach. Simple life, peaceful life. Everything I wanted, everything I never had when I was taking care of my children, when I was funding their lives, when I was sacrificing everything. Now I was living for me, just me. And it felt good. My neighbors were kind, really kind. Mrs. Rodriguez next door brought me cookies the day I moved in. Mr. Chen across the hall invited me to poker night. People checked on me, asked how I was doing, invited me to dinners, to events, to gatherings. Real community, real friendship. Not the fake family love my children showed. The kind that disappeared the moment I wasn't useful anymore. These people cared, actually cared, and they didn't want anything from me except friendship. It was beautiful. It was healing.